We're up. All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. It is now 10:03 a.m. We're here for the regular session of the Hunt County Commissioner Court. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order and ask everyone to stand for prayer and pledge of allegiance. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for all your many blessings you bestow on us. And Lord, we just ask for wisdom today that all of those involved can make good decisions. And Lord, we just ask to be with all our residents that are traveling and our families that are traveling during these holiday seasons. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. We have Commissioner Money, Monroe, Harrison, and Smith. I'm going to skip you again, Gary. And I'm Judge Stovall presiding over the meeting. Commissioners, you got the minutes from November 12th, 2025, regular session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 4, minutes of November 17th, 2025, special session. Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioner's Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on a future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Richard Lewis, you come forward and
Good morning. My name is Richard Lewis, Jr. I own property at 4825 County Road 2595 in Precinct 2. Imagine getting a call from your 84-year-old parents on Halloween Day that there are trespassers on the property with heavy equipment and digging holes. No prior notifications given, no ground markings, no company names on vehicles, no uniforms, no IDs, and sadly, no speak English when asked. So you'll understand my surprise when I arrived and people self-identifying as AT&T employees with no IDs, no uniforms, nor vehicle markings were on my property. Looking down, I see a gaping hole and a severed water line where a boring machine was positioned on my property. I asked them to cease all work and to see their permit and insurance bond. They claimed to have a permit for a 40-foot easement and we're trying to locate a copy. I was told that my property was the last one they had to, in the neighborhood that they had to install at 668 feet. I asked about the depth that they were boring, and they said they were running 36 inches deep. I was surprised. This is when the Hunt County Sheriff's deputy arrived, and I greatly appreciate his presence, calm, and identifying the people who were really employees of Vertex Underground. The deputy was able to verify the 25-foot county easement from the road center, having a conversation with Commissioner Monroe. Thank you to Commissioner Monroe for verifying the easement and for checking the county permit. So here I stand before you today, losing several days of work, wasting a weekend trying to fix a broken water line, and personally out of pocket $725 for repairs done by a licensed Texas plumber. All because someone failed to request a Hunt County permit, pay attention to underground markings, or respect my no trespassing signs. I posed 10 questions to Commissioner Monroe, but it really comes down to one. Where is the accountability and responsibility after the fact? C, I reviewed the AT&T cover letter and AT&T permit filing, and if Vertex employees are to be believed, then my little 668 feet of frontage on County Road 2595 is all they lack to being finished. Conduit and boxes are already in place along County Road 2595 at 40 foot from road center, already on private property, and down the 4 Harvest Streets in our neighborhood. I'm sorry, but I don't believe for 1 second that all the work and investment by AT&T, Lawley Contracting, and Vertex Underground will be removed or corrected to match the plans presented that the commissioners might approve today. This was not just a simple, oops, we forgot. They requested a permit from TxDOT for 1565 before work was undertaken. This was an attempt to bully and rush before anyone noticed by organizations that should have known better, should have done better. I humbly ask the Commissioners Court to table the AT&T permit request until outstanding questions are answered and a solid plan is presented to be accountable and responsible to Hunt County Commissioners Court and the citizens of Hunt County. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Sorry about your difficulties.
Let me add something to that just real quick.
Okay.
Aaron, I've asked Daniel, because I've got an issue with water companies doing the exact same thing that AT&T has done to this gentleman. And Daniel, I talked to him Friday about it, and he was going to write a letter up for us so we can get it out to these entities about what the normal stipulations and stuff are as pertaining to this and the water lines. Can you follow up on that for us, please? Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else wish to speak? Being none, I'll close the public testimony. No old business. Under new business, consent calendar. Commissioners, entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Under B, action items, approval of accounts payable.
Move to approve payables.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of line item transfers.
Make a motion to approve line item transfers.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of budget amendments.
Motion to approve budget amendment.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Motion to approve payroll and personnel.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Commissioners, if y'all don't mind, I think it would be prudent for us to go to 21 on the public hearing, since we have several in attendance, I think is here for that, and we have a presentation to make. So under item 21, public hearing and potential action on proposed zoning regulations affecting property located within 5,000 feet of the 447-foot elevation contour line or the take line around Lake Tawakoni, as authorized by Texas Local Government Code 231, Subchapter F, and consideration of recommendations of the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission of Hunt County from November 13th, 2025. Brian, you want to brief us, or you want to let Daniel go ahead and do the presentation? Okay.
Let me just scoot that. Well, thank you, Court. Very happy to be here today to present to you about the Lake Tawakoni zoning update. And what I have here is a presentation. I know it's been a while since we have talked, so I want to go ahead and walk you through sort of beginning to end through the process about where we are, and we'll wrap up with the end. So hopefully this will be an enlightening presentation and just a refresher for where we've been in this process. So get questions about sort of like who's the project team, how's this all working together. Of course, when we do county zoning, the ultimate approval authority is the Commissioners Court who approves the zoning. We also have the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission as part. They're a recommendation body. They look at the plan, they make a recommendation to you, and then of course the Freese and Nichols team has been the team putting together the document and the mapping to go along with that. I'm here today. Also, Karen Chavez and Stan Lynch are with me here today to be able to answer questions and talk about county-related items. Just as a refresher, so everyone can see at home who your Commissioners Court members are. So I put a couple of stars by Precinct 2 and 3, so Commissioner Monroe and Smith. Their precincts touch the lake zoning area. We'll have a map here in a second to take a look at that. And of course, Brian Toole's been very critical in implementing the lake zoning, working with the planning commission to get permits approved. And when someone goes through that process, Brian is the key staff member there. So just as a refresher, here we are in North Texas and zooming into the county. I have that, you can see Lake Tawakoni right there on the southeast. You'll see that little yellow orangish border around it. So the lake zoning goes 5,000 feet from the take line around the lake. So zooming in here, you can see that 3 is representing precinct 3, that 2 is representing precinct 2. So you can see where the lake zoning touches and the lake planning as well. So that's the map sort of showing where the area is. And then just wanted to mention once again the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission. They're the review and the recommendation body, really the administration part, working with Brian to get people through the development process. So when development's occurring in that lake zoning area, it should be in conformance with the zoning that is currently in place. And this project was to update that zoning that's currently been in place since 1991. So just real quick, I'm going to take you through some base maps just to familiarize everyone with the lake area and what's going on out there. I'll talk a little bit about the project history, and then really at the end of the day, we have zoning text. We have a zoning document, the rule book, you'd say, that goes along with the maps on the colors on the map. And then we have the map itself, which we have a couple of copies up here. So sort of why zone? So why do zoning around lakes? Just so everyone knows, lakes or reservoirs in Texas, all of them are man-made except for Caddo Lake. So all these lakes are dammed. They're created by different state or local organizations. And so all these lakes here in Texas are created. So when we create these lakes, generally people like to live close to them. So we're having a lot of development. So what the state says is we're going to give counties with these certain type of lakes zoning permission. So similarly in cities, most cities do zoning. But most counties don't have zoning, except in a few situations, and most of them centered around lake zoning throughout the state. So we're updating that, and then of course when we're updating our zoning regulations, we wanted to have a comprehensive plan so we could get public input, what people thought about different things, what were the issues that people were having around the lake, and so we did a lake comprehensive plan at the beginning before we updated the zoning. And what is the value that the zoning really brings to the community? Well, it's really the only voice that someone who owns land has to say what's going on around their land. If you have your house or your ranch or your farm and there's something going on that's going to affect you right next door, you have a say because there's zoning. And so they have to, if it's agriculture or sometimes there's a warehouse or some type of industrial use going on that may not be compatible, that's what the zoning's there to protect. So making sure that if something's going on, you have a voice in the process. If we don't have a voice, that means that we don't have zoning. So anyone could just build whatever they want next to your property, could impact the value of your property. And so we want to make sure that we're protecting people's investments and creating a predictable pattern. So if someone wants to come out here and open some type of industrial business, not saying that that's a bad thing. We want jobs and employment, but there's certain areas where that's suitable and not necessarily where we have all centered around residential development or something along those lines. So there's just a couple of examples there. So zoning's a zoning ordinance is regulating the use of land. So what can I use the land for? It's a legal document, and we're basing it upon the comprehensive plan. So there's just a little org chart there. So we have the lake comprehensive plan, and that helps us with our zoning regulations, know what we'd like to do. It also helps us with other type of infrastructure planning. So why are we planning? Well, as you know, there's a lot of growth here in North Texas. In 2000, we were 5.1 million people as a region. We've grown to 7.7 million people, so about 2.5 million people in that 20 years, and we're projected to be 11.2 million, so adding about 4 million more residents. So there's a lot of people moving here. There's going to be demand to develop land, and so land is going to change and develop. Once again, this is the county and the residents' only choice to have a say in how that land's going to develop. Because once again, if you don't have zoning, and a lot of counties are experiencing this issue because a lot of cities are limited now as far as annexation, so there's not really a lot of municipal boundaries expanding, so development's still occurring, and it's all occurring in unincorporated areas. And in those areas, a lot of people wish there were some type of regulations to say like what could be built where. But here in the lake zoning area, we do have that ability to zone 5,000 feet from the shoreline of the lake. So it definitely is a benefit to help manage this growth and change as it happens. Once again, that's just a map showing different changes in different populations. So darker colors representing more counties that are increasing in population. Of course, you can see our North Texas area as increasing greatly in population. So once again, the state sets up cities and counties are creatures of the state. So we get our enabling power from the state statutes. What we have here is in Chapter 231 of the Texas Local Government Code, the ability to do the zoning, and that's where we're implementing the state's authority there. And why are we planning? Because we do definitely want to minimize negative impacts on landowners from different sources of pollution and overcrowding, things like that. And really, we want to manage a great resource. Tawakoni is a pretty lake. What we're trying to do is make sure that is going to be continued in generations to come. So what's the best planning that we can do around the lake? So we can look at like desirable uses, and we can see different shops and businesses, different opportunities where residents will want to shop and dine, enjoy lake access, enjoy nature and the outdoors, different things about just seeing and being next and close to the lake is what people desire. And this is, coming from the comprehensive plan that we talk to people. Large lot areas, areas where we have a mixture of large lot, small lot, but still having that rural type of feel. And then when we get into some of the undesirable conditions that we're trying to prevent, if there's overcrowding or a lot of just straight urbanization of areas, that could be seen as undesirable. Open storage and things like that next to the lake, those are some type of things as well. How we stack these things and these different businesses, the view and the impression when you bring your family in town and things like that. How is all this stuff being communicated, and how do people feel about these type of businesses and the impact on their property? So some undesirable uses, of course, that could be happening near the lake if we didn't have the regulations to prevent them from occurring. And here's just an example, too, of like having a business maybe too close to a house. So these different type of opportunity or these different type of conditions can exist. And once again, we can manage these things through our zoning, which of course we currently have, and we have since '91, and this is an update to that process. Another condition here of just, we have if I have a pointer here, yeah, we have a single-family house mixed with some manufactured homes, mixed with some trailers, mixed with some businesses. So, we can have a lot of different mixture of uses that maybe aren't desirable that we want to see in the long term for neighborhoods and different parts of the lake area. And then also when we talk about undesirable, why this may look like a nice neighborhood, that density may be inappropriate for a lot of areas around the lake. We have a lot of larger lot development, things like that. So that's one of the things looking forward at, we can also control the density in development in the lake area. And so while this may be a nice general subdivision, it may be inappropriate in certain areas. So once again, and this was one of our meetings over in Butler, Intermediate. Zoning is really the only opportunity for people to have a voice in how the lake area develops outside of the cities. So it's a great tool to have, once again, given a voice, because without that voice, development can just occur and no one has any right to say anything about it. So our two project documents we have, or three, I guess I should say, the one on the left is a screenshot of the cover of the Lake Tawakoni Comprehensive Plan, and then the other ones will cover the zoning regulations, and then the map that we have over here on the side. So other maps, just so you can see, there's just a little regional relationship, so of course we can see where we are in our different cities. We looked at, of course, different school districts that you have. Most everyone going to Quinlan ISD in the area. Once again, different drainage basins, of course, with the lake. Most everything's draining to the lake. Drainage is important. Different physical features, what properties were developed and are currently left vacant or for agricultural purposes. So that's more of the existing land uses. Zoning as it currently exists with the zoning map. We did a parcel size map. These darker colors, just the smaller parcels. The yellow ones are the more larger parcels you can see. Just a couple of thoroughfares that we have on there, just so people know where the roads are. CCNs, certificates of convenience and necessity. Who's getting water or wastewater services from where? The different providers, so we could see that. So a little bit about the project history, reviewing the draft plan. The plan does a baseline analysis, a lot of what we just sort of looked at, explains the visioning, what people were telling us, future land uses. We have a map that guides the zoning decisions, thoroughfares, implementation. There's an appendix that has all the public input, so screenshots of the different boards and exercises that we did during the process, so people could see those. So a little bit more about the background. We talked about the creation of Lake Tawakoni. We also talked about the planning purpose, what the county is trying to achieve. A little bit of the context of, where we're getting our enabling legislation from, and then just previous documents. Subdivision regulations, those of course apply countywide, and then also your thoroughfare plan applying countywide, but that's all sort of covering our lake area as well. So looking at different facts and figures about the lake area, roughly around 73,000 acres, and looking at the different type of uses that you can see there. Also, then we are looking at other existing land uses. These are different breakdowns of the tables for our zoning area, what things are currently zoned. We also have proposed zoning that we'll get to here in just a second. So some of the visioning, what people were telling us. We of course, had our different meetings when people telling us sort of what's important. A lot of people didn't know that there's currently zoning in the lake area, but of course, when we see development or there's complaints, a lot of things are reported to the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission and the county staff, so we know that something's going on, something's being developed, and try to bring someone in for a permit, one way to do that. So hearing from people about needing for more code enforcement capabilities, needing for more recreational areas, things like that. Different other stakeholder interviews. We interviewed different stakeholders in the community about some things that were important as well. A couple of screenshots from some of the different meetings. This one from the open house. What's important to people: protecting existing residential areas, access to different properties and roads. Code enforcement was another one. So just a couple of screenshots. So basically boiling that down to is, what people were saying is like, we want a place where residents are proud to live, and then also excited to bring visitors to. And then when we look into a sort of a mission statement, so providing high quality neighborhoods and businesses for the lake area residents, and developing lake recreation tourism, desirable lodging options, and vibrant destinations. So making this a really great place to be and to raise a family. So, and then the implementation chapter, different ways to implement. It's all sort of prioritized. One thing we wanted to highlight here was we had some implementation strategies. A lot of people, as I was mentioned, don't know that there's zoning in the area. There's some different options here, which we had, created these ones on the left and right about just letting people know, hey, there's a special area here that you're going to need to come and check the zoning on. That one in the middle is just for Mansfield. That's just another example of how a city has done. Like, here's a sign that just lets people know when they pass a sign that, hey, contact the city before you start building, just so you know, because once again, a lot of times people feel like they're out in the county, so there's no rules or regulations to do anything, but there are. So ways to communicate that. So a little text overview. sort of top 10 list. We've modernized the format of the zoning document. We've improved the graphics. We try to be less technical jargon in the document as well. There's some updates to the sign regulations that we needed to do just over time. Those sign regulations needed to be just aligned with current legal practices. Also consolidate and revise zoning districts per the comprehensive plan, so we have a few less zoning districts to consider now. Improving the development standards, trying to streamline the process, expanding nonconformities and the enforcement provisions of the zoning regulations. So if we look at, we have 9 different sections of the text, and I'll go through this very quickly. So just that first chapter, it's just general regulations. There's not much that people need to spend time in there, but stuff that we need to have. Then when we get into our zoning districts, what we did is we revised the districts. We have purpose statements for everything. We reduced the number of districts from 15 down to 12. And we have a little highlight here so you can sort of see the old districts on the left, the new districts on the right, and some ways that we were able to combine. There is the current zoning map, proposed zoning map. We'll talk about that here just a little bit more in just a second. When we get into a zoning district, so if I'm zoned SF1, I have a purpose statement explaining what that is. Use table, so I can have a table in the document. These are all for homes or these are for businesses. You can look at that use table, figure out what the allowed uses in that zoning district are. Dimensional standards. When I subdivide and I create new lots, these are what the new lots need to be. And then if there's any special regulations in there, so you can go through that process. And then when I was talking about the use chart, here's just an example. It's a chart that you get to see and whether a use is permitted or not allowed. And then of course, once again, these charts can be updated through going through the planning and the Planning Commission with a recommendation, and then with the Commissioner's Court for the final approval. So you have your zoning districts on the top. What you would do is you'd have a P as it's permitted by right, so it's allowed, or an SUP, someone has to come in for a permit for that, which would once again go to the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission, then it'd go to the Commissioner's Court for approval. So you can see different things like that. We have all those lane uses listed, and there's definitions so people can see what those mean. So each one has a definition. We have standards, if there's special standards that go along with those, like an automobile dealership, what standards would be for an automobile dealership, and then the parking requirements that go along with those businesses as well. Other development standards, so talking about how you address the parking on the business, on the lot. Landscaping, what do you do with your dumpster? Where do you put that? Don't want to see that right in front of the businesses, off to the side, often screened. Those type of things. Open storage, outdoor lighting, those different elements. We'll go through a few of those. So there's our parking standards. People can see those, and a business or a developer could calculate that. Landscaping, of course, people express to us about living out in a rural area. They like the landscaping green, not necessarily, just sort of more of a urban experience where it's just, no landscaping, things like that. Screening of dumpsters, things like that to just make the appearance of a property neat and tidy. Screening walls as well between different uses. If we remember some of those pictures that we showed where we had a business right next to a house, a wall could help those transitions between those two different uses. Another thing we heard is with outdoor lighting. This is just an example of course, we don't want to necessarily have this big glow. We are in the rural area. People enjoy seeing the night sky, as many stars as possible. So with our businesses having full cutoff lights, and that's what that example on the far right is, it's just making sure that the light is pointed down and not going to really cast this big glow, because once again, trying to preserve the night sky and things like that. Sign regulations, so these were updated. We had a set of sign regulations and we've updated those, so it's real easy to see where signs are allowed, how those would be constructed. There's different standards for those. Once again, the architect or the developer or the site planner would be looking at those and putting those for that. If it was a McDonald's or whatever it may be, would be taking a look at that. And of course, just dimensional standards, what a front yard, side yard, setback is, all those different elements are you can see. When we have our more commercial stretches of highway or road, how we do access. Of course, we want to have shared driveways and some shared access. We don't necessarily want to have as many driveways as possible straight on the highway, because that we want the flow of traffic to continue. So there's different opportunities, and we have some numbers here that are in black boxes with white numbers, so you can sort of see, trying to minimize that stretch of access where people, we don't have so many driveways along the roadways. Performance standards, so once again, smoke, noise, dust, glare, these type of things, because we're, once again, protecting a lot of private property with these rules and regulations. So if there was a business creating dust, fumes, noise, those type of things, we'd have some standards to protect the surrounding landowners. And then just floodplain standards as well. Want to make sure that all that drainage is being handled appropriately. Administrative procedures, there's charts and tables in there so people know, okay, go to the Lake Planning Commission for this. This is where I start, then I end up at the Commissioner's Court. So we have different processes for all those things, and flow charts so people could see that. Nonconformities, of course, there's things that were built before the zoning was in place. Nothing needs to go away or to be torn down. Those just continue to exist, and they're just called nonconformities. So there's just a few rules, of course, if those do get abandoned, and 5 years later, someone wants to come and do something that's not allowed, well, that a new use wouldn't be allowed to come in there, but all the existing uses continue to operate as they have been. Chapter 7, just some enforcement standards in there, and then just our legal provisions. Once again, don't need to really spend any time in that. And then definitions as well. We have our definitions at the back so everyone can see the land use definitions or other terms that we're using in the document. So map overview. There's the current zoning map that we have, and then what we were doing with the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission, and we had an older map that had been created, of course, a while ago. And so when we were looking at that map and we were checking the city boundaries, because in state law it's very clear that if there's an overlap between the county zoning and a city zoning, the city zoning controls. So there's no need for us to try to zone anything in any city. But when we started looking at some of the boundaries that we had and getting the current boundaries on there, there's a few different areas that we sort of see around West Tawakoni that didn't have any zoning on there. So the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission, we had an exercise where we went through each one of these areas and basically adding zoning to those areas, just what they're currently being used at as well. So in the areas that you see there, and then if we go to the far west, where we see those two big ones with agriculture, those just currently weren't zoned, currently being agricultural out there, just sort of keeping that. Someone wants to come and develop that with single family subdivision or something like that, they just come in for a zoning change. But then everyone in and around those properties gets noticed that zoning changed, so they'll have an opportunity to come out and share their opinion about that. And then if you see the area to the far north, same concept there. Zoning wasn't applied in those areas, but once again, looking at those properties, seeing what those are currently being used at, and just matching the zoning to fit what those are. You'll see a couple of green areas, and those where we did have zoning, but we don't need zoning. Those are in the Sabine River Authority's jurisdiction, land owned by Sabine River Authority. Those are the people who maintain the lake. And you can see that was one of the big things that we did put on this map, was because the zoning really starts from that take line and moving out 5,000 feet, and some of those cleanups that we had were just taking these areas out. That's Sabine River Authority, also the state park as well. We don't need to have zoning on the state park. The state's really exempt from following that anyway. So just cleaning up the map so there was no confusion about why was that zoned if we can't have the ability to regulate that as well. So there was a little table there, so you can see we had 10 properties that were unzoned, and then just those proposed zonings for those. And then we had those two currently zoned properties that are Sabine River Authority properties, and then taking that off. And then this is a little bit easier. We can, if we need to come back to this slide, of course we can. Just wanted to zoom in, so we had a easy way to look at the north half and then the south half as well. This is the same that's on the map here. And then we have one that we took all the zoning off just so we could sort of see the individual properties. And the shaded, sort of the mustard or the pale yellow, that was just showing properties that were near or within that boundary notification area, just so you could see, because those people may most be interested in zoning, because once again, neighbors are concerned also what goes on upon the properties that are next to them. So, and then we did receive one written comment. It was about some of our sound level requirements in there, and it was related to agricultural uses, and those are exempt with a right to farm and things like that. So, but talking to Daniel Ray, we just had potentially this to address that comment, just making sure it was clear that, you know, this ordinance does not interfere with any ag purposes, lawful hunting, property maintenance as permitted or required under Texas law. So working with Daniel, we were thinking that was something that could address a comment. It's not currently in there. Once again, I think the state law will go ahead and supersede that, but it's nice to go ahead and have this just in there so people know. So that was working with Daniel Ray. That was one potential thing that we could amend into the document. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you. Or if you had any questions that
Can
we
you go
could-
back to that one just a second?
We sure can. To one of the maps?
No, to
Oh.
that last slide.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
The sound levels of noise at property lines, is that all going to be all over the lake?
Yeah, it was to, so we have a lot of businesses and things like that. So if we had a machine shop or something like that was stamping metal or something like that, we really want to make sure that at the property line, the neighbors on the other side wouldn't be impacted by that type of operation.
Well, what caught my attention, we have several complaints every summer, a lot of complaints every summer, actually, from out of the Hawk Cove area where they're using the speedboats going up and down through there at a real loud rate, and it's disturbing the neighborhoods, and that's why I caught it. Since the boats are in the water, I don't guess this won't help us any in trying to deal with that probably.
That's correct, because really the zoning would be taking place from the take line out 5,000 feet.
Yeah,
So if
so it
they're
won't-
inside the lake making noise, we would not be able to do that.
I was hoping to have a little leverage to give those people some relief. It's terrible. I've been down there. That noise is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Thank you. All right, commissioners, you got any questions?
Probably more than anybody wants. So go back to the, not literally, but the comprehensive plan. So whenever you did that, you were talking about, that's where the opportunities were to engage with the public, get input from them. How well were those attended? What kind of inputs did you get?
They were pretty well attended. So like I said, we met at Butler Intermediate for our big open house, and I'd say we had 100 people attend that meeting. We had we'd go back and sort of look at those photos, but and we had boards with people set up because what we're trying to do is get just general public input. We did talk to different stakeholders as well, so we did stakeholder interviews, interviewed business owners, the EDC chambers, homeowners associations came out, and we worked with different stakeholders to identify those issues. Sabine River Authority was another one, because what we want to do, we want to have an opportunity for what we said was stakeholders for businesses or different organizations, talk to the sheriff's department, things like that, like, hey, what's going on in and around the lake that we need to know that really affects your organization or different types of things. And so we were able to get more of that organizational input with the stakeholders. And then our goals with the open house was to get just anyone living in the area come out and please tell us what you think. I think at the open house we got a lot of questions about like why were we or we as Freese Nichols or the county itself trying to develop this land or something along those lines, or build a road, and that was one of the communication things we said. It's like no, the county's not trying to build anything. Freese and Nichols, we don't build developments and things like that. We're planners, engineers helping on the county and municipal side for water lines and things like that. But what we're trying to communicate is we're trying to set up the rules and regulations that are going to protect the landowners and for people to have a voice in this exercise, because this is what the state enables us to do, to let people say, hey, your area is going to change. The state basically as a whole has, created these lakes. We need drinking water. People are going to come out and they're going to want to be next to lakes. Of course, you're next to DFW, so people would like to come out here and have a little piece of the lake life and things like that. And so there's a lot of development opportunities. A lot of our cities are smaller out here, so they can't. One city couldn't really do the whole lake zoning, so that's really why it falls to the county, to let people come out here and express their thoughts and concerns about how that zoning and how the development will work. So once again, it's going back and sort of taking a look at, like, this area is going to change. People, what's important to see the change. People are saying the night sky. People are saying keep it rural and residential, and all those things we can do with zoning and have standards in there. So when someone comes in and wants to do a 4,000 lot subdivision somewhere and have that be 7,000 or 6,000 square foot lots, not that the door's completely shut on that development idea, but if that's zoned agriculture, what we've said as a community, as a county, we said, like, no, this area should be agriculture, or it should be 1 acre lots or something along those lines. So if we're going to change it, well, okay, we can change it, but we got to notice everybody. People got to come out. And then it comes to the commissioner's court to say, like, does that make sense? Do we have the road infrastructure to handle that? Do we have water infrastructure to handle that? And what we're seeing all throughout the state is a lot of counties wish they had that authority, because once again, since cities are limited, basically there's only voluntary annexations, and not too many people just voluntarily want to be in a city. They'd like to pay lower taxes, but the purpose of the cities is you have all those services once we have denser development. So you have more regular police, fire, dog catcher, those type of things. And what we have with this zoning for the county is we're able to regulate that. And like I said, our other counties don't have that authority if there's not a lake around them, and they just really have to accommodate that development. If there's a developer going to go in there and start a municipal utility district and can get water out there, well, that really changes the area from the current land use pattern. So I think it's really great to have this option.
So
that
when
you
you were, sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to step on you there. When these people are coming to the meetings and they're providing their input, the judge asked a question on the decibel conversation, and so. And you said that was one thing that y'all had taken input and put in there. I'm curious, is that the only one? Because you had these other meetings and things you're describing. Are there other words and language that was put in there as a result of the people's inputs?
Yes, I would say when we because there's two way through the process. When we drafted the regulations, we took all that into account. We have an appendix in there that sort of highlights all that public input, and we had some of that on the screen so you could sort of see that, and that helped us write and do the update of the zoning, the current zoning text and map. And so we had that in the development process. Now, what I was sort of showing here at the end is, now that we've have the document and had a public hearing at the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission, and of course here today, are there ideas that people present that the court, and also if we wanted the Lake Tawakoni Planning Commission to weigh in on changes of the recommendations? When we were at the Planning Commission, they were good with recommending it to you as it is, but once again, if there's changes or edits we need to make, there's of course edits and changes we can do. So, because once again, we want to make sure that we get this tailored to make as many people happy as we can, and then also once again look to the future and protect the land and
So
people's property.
I want to give up the mic and let my peers here, chime in. First of all for zoning. I mean, we need that, in every place, but people need to understand it. They need to have input on it. And because the input is, you had 100 people, show up at that. You had 400 people,
Yeah.
here a week ago that had a different opinion
Yeah.
about a lot of it. And so I want to make sure that we're getting those things that are concerns to people, that they're getting the due diligence and consideration that they should, not just this court reading and going through it, but I don't feel like we've got all the people's input yet, or at least we don't have them understanding yet. That was my impression the other night. Yeah, you said a few minutes ago that a lot of them didn't even know they had zoning.
Correct.
There. So I'm trying to figure out how they know what to input, if they don't even know they had zoning, because that's probably the first night they're hearing that. And so I'm saying all that to say, do you think we have a mature product, maybe from a Friesen Nichols perspective, but from a community perspective, do you think we have a mature product with the community?
I think from the text and from the map, it's definitely a mature project. What I think when we go to the community, because some of the input that we had at that meeting, there were a lot of people who were like, okay, are you taking my property? Because a lot of people were concerned about taking property, whether it was taking property or property for a road, and we're like, no, this is there's no eminent domain. We're not. Why we showed a thoroughfare plan in there? That's just the county's thoroughfare plan, and the county's really not going and acquiring any of that. So I think there was a lot of concerns once because with a change in state law, everyone in that whole 73,000 acres, gets a notice. So 13,000 notices going out. So everyone gets a notice and like, well, what's this for? I'm not familiar with zoning. And so with that, we were trying to answer some of those questions about like, no, there's no eminent domain here. We currently have zoning. We've had it since 91. These are the only changes to really the zoning map that we're having out here is, these 10 properties that are getting zoning that weren't zoned, and then the 2 properties that didn't need zoning, just taking those off. So I think there's a level of communication and understanding out there with which it's a good question, because it's like how to educate, all 13,000, landowners out there to be comfortable understanding zoning, and they're currently zoned, and what they're being. I thought the Planning Commission did a pretty good job answering those questions, and we got to move over. We started, of course, in the council chambers, and we moved over to the high school so everyone could have a seat and be sure we see the presentation and try to answer as many questions as we could till the end of the night. But so. It's a good question. How much more, whether it's through, on the website or other type of educational means could we do to that? Definitely could do that if that was the desire of the court. But that's a good question.
Well, Commissioner Smith, I think part of the issue probably was that as the rules led us, we had to do notices by publication. And then the final, to approve it, we had to do it by mailing letters. And we've been, the state ought to have told us, you got to do that on the front end, not on the back end. Because that's what really happened. We just had to do it by publication to start with, to get people out to get their comments. And then when everybody really found out about it, we had to send everybody a letter and tell them what's going on. And that's the fallacy that I think was the experience we were seeing, is that we gave notices. We just didn't do it to everybody because we weren't required to.
Yep.
Maybe we could have, but we didn't. And but that's part of the problem. And it's drug out a little. We had some hiccups along the way, and that has kind of delayed it because those meetings happened a couple of years ago or more. And so we've had some delays that were unfortunate. That's kind of drug it out. So certainly it's been around since 91. It is around all the lakes. I wish we had more of it across the county as we're growing. You talked about the growth of the state and in our region, but Hunt County is the 5th fastest growing county in the state of Texas right now. Rockwall's 1, Kaufman's 1, Rockwall's 3, and we're 5. So the growth in North Texas or in the Texas is right here in our little, I call it the bullseye of growth. I mean, we're right in it, and which makes having planning even more important. I'm a 4th generation here, and I owned a business here for 38 years, and I kept saying at some point in time we're going to grow, and we grow. I sell my business, and it takes off. So it's bad timing maybe on my part, but we really are seeing unreal growth all across the county, certainly on the west side more than other parts of it. And, you know, I don't like driving up and down I-30 and seeing all the metal buildings out there. I wish we had some control over that to make our community and our county a little more pleasing and not just have, you know, I call it the Wild Wild West. When the state changed the law and wouldn't let cities expand, Hunt County's nearly 900 square miles. In the city limits, we have 100 square miles, give or take a little. So we got close to 800 square miles. It's the Wild Wild West. People can just go do whatever they want to do. And, you know, of course, none of us want to be told that we can't do something we want to do on our land, but we also don't want somebody next door to us doing something we don't want either. So that's kind of the idea of the planning, is trying to do it. And this map is not creating any problems for your current use and your current land. As long as you continue to use it for that use, you're okay. If you want to change that use, then you have to change it with the follow the rules of the planning. Is that correct? I think that's right. Yeah.
Correct. And one of the other education parts is through the questions at the high school. A lot of people were concerned about how does this affect their property taxes. And, you know, okay, so if this happens, you know, how does it affect me as far as what I you know, if I'm in a commercial area but I'm really residential, you know, is that gonna affect me? Well, currently you're already zoned that right now, but the appraisal district will be going off what the land is used for. If you're ag exempt and using it for agriculture purposes, that all stays. So there's a lot of confusion if zoning directly relates to what the property is going to be appraised to, and no, it's the appraisal district does that off of their what that land's being used for, if there's an ag exemption already on there. So
Well, I'd certainly like to see us work on the confusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And getting that out, and then see what the concerns are.
Mm-hmm.
With confusion, concerns are all over the map, right? If we can eliminate confusion, then we can actually get the legitimate questions and concerns to see if consideration needs to be given. That's where my gap was listening the other night. So I wanted to make sure there was one thing on the zoning. And so we had the 10 areas that, you know, were unknown originally, and trying to clean that up. Did we visit any of the old zoning at all?
We didn't want to proactively create any rezonings on there. So it was really just focusing on cleaning up the areas that weren't zoned, and then rather than going back and trying to change someone's current.
I was just curious if there's any of I have an opinion, so I'll give you the tip up front, but to me, there's some existing zoning areas that make absolutely no sense. And so that's why I was just kind of curious, is it really focused just on the 10 areas that were unknown?
It is, because we were trying to, like I said, minimize the impact to current landowners, and really trying to, because we didn't want the narrative being like we're trying to take away your zoning or anything like that, or change it to something else. We're just really trying to continue the zoning as it is, fix where the holes that we noticed that were created, and just go ahead and to update the regulations to implement that. So, but that definitely could be an exercise to see if there were areas of whether it was C2 zoning, so more of the heavy commercial type zoning. There was one gentleman, I remember he was on the front row of that meeting, sort of closer on my side, where he was very concerned with, you know, what's this industrial building going on right behind me? And, you know, part of my thinking during that thing is like, you're the exact proponent for what we're trying to do with this zoning, because it's like because I think where we ended, he was actually not in the zoning area. But one of the things was, it's all like, this is what we're trying to prevent, so at least the county will know what's going on. And if they've developed or they're building a use that's not allowed, yes, we can step in as a county and say, hey, stop, you're not allowed to put this data center here, you know, right behind these homes, because it's zoned for ag or SF1 or something along those lines. So I think once we got into some of those deeper conversations at that meeting about like, hey, how's this going to affect me? There's also a lady on the front about, you know, asking similar questions. Once we started getting into those, I think people started to understand that it's like, oh, okay, I see the advantage to having this zoning. But once again, back to the judge's comment, no one likes to be told. No one likes to be told anything, and we're not. And like I said, we try to minimize that with, like with the zonings, we're zoning what that land is currently being used for. We're not trying to make, like, you know, divert into like back to the original, like when we were meeting at Butler Intermediate, it's like we don't have this. We want it to be reflective of what the citizens want it to be. That there's no other interest trying to say like, oh, this area needs to be business. This needs to. Now you can take a look at like we have a roadway here. Does it make sense to have businesses here? And that's a lot where the businesses just naturally gravitate to as well. So, but anyway, so I think once we started getting into those deeper conversations, it seemed like people would be proponents of zoning. But once again, back to the judge's comment, no one likes to necessarily be told or even know that there are rules limiting what could be done. But until that, you really look at like, oh, it protects you from what your neighbor may do, then your investment on your property, the time that you spent there, is more protected than not having the zoning.
Well, and Gary, or Commissioner Smith, I'm sorry. This map is a living document, and it's not set in stone. That's why we have a planning and zoning commission. If there's something that's inappropriate or something trying to come in, it may be inappropriate, that they have to change the zoning to use it. So it's not like it'll never change. This is just kind of a roadmap and what it's been off the old map, and then what some projections are. But as the community develops, you may find, well, that wasn't really right here. And if you don't revisit it ever so often, then it's not going to be right. Of course, I had a survey company here for 38 years, and I represented a lot of people on zoning. In the city of Greenville, I think over that time I was in business, they did 3 or 4 relooks at their zoning maps about every 10 years, and we had no growth. And I thought that was a waste of, I used to argue with them about it, a waste of public money because it hadn't changed. And when you got growth and it starts to change, that's when you go back and look at it and say, well, did we mess up before? Now, do we need to change this to more fit where we are today? And so it will always be able to be changed, whether it's piece by piece or take a whole broad look at it again.
So I understand the meeting that you recently had, you had 400 people there, correct? Roughly, give or take. And it's been a couple of years since we've had a meeting like that. Is that the way I understand it?
Yeah, something close to that, give or take some.
Well, it's, we've got a lot of people that's moved in over the last few years that probably has no idea about stuff like this. And back to Commissioner Smith's comment, I think the communication, maybe we need to revisit that as well and have some more public hearings down there so we can get better input from everybody, especially the folks that's just moved in or wasn't able to be there or didn't know about it or something like that as well.
Let's turn to the other side of it.
Yes.
I'd like to add, I agree with, we need, zoning and things like that, but since the meeting, I've had several constituents reach out to me, and they're like, what the heck's going on? And to be honest, I kind of didn't know what's going on. I had to start kind of doing some homework. So if me as a commissioner has questions, you can just see that the constituents are going to have questions, and I just feel like it's too premature to have I don't feel comfortable voting on it today. I mean, I'm one vote, but I think we need to do a little bit more public information about it, and maybe, I don't know how to get the information out, but I think it's too premature with the questions that are still being asked, and people don't quite understand it. And I know you're not ever going to get 100% of the population to understand it or know, but there's a lot of people that still don't understand what's going on, and I feel like we need to do a better job of getting the information out. I don't know how that is, how we get it out to them, but I just feel like it needs to be presented better to them somehow.
All right. All right, well, let's open it to the public, let's hear what they've got to say, and then we can come back and have some more discussions. So at this time, I'll open it up to public comments. Anybody wishes to speak for or against this, please come forward and state your name and address. And you'll have 3 minutes about.
Oh, we'll waste your time that much. My name's Wayne Middleton. I live at 209 Conti Drive in Quinlan, Texas. My concern is when were these meetings held? Nobody notified me of any meetings. I've lived there 20 years. Although on his map, I'm zoned as light commercial with a 10-acre pasture that side and 160 acres that side, but I'm the light commercial. That don't make no sense. I'm in the residential area. So the meetings they had just don't make no sense because I knew nothing of the meetings because I would attend. Because this Although it's benefiting the county, I can agree. But there needs to be more transparency to what's going on is what's been done, in my book. Okay, so whatever y'all can do to make it more public for people to know when these meetings are, that's what you really need to do.
So you didn't get a card?
Yeah, I got a card, but
Right.
I'm talking about the planning and zoning meetings. When were they? I was never notified of a planning and zoning meeting over it.
We had several public meetings that weren't just planning and zoning meetings.
Well,
That were
even-
published,
even-
but we didn't do a complete mail out.
Yeah, you know, so I'm in the affected area and I never got no notification, so,
I understand.
you know. That's what my little gripe is about it, but, you know, you're gonna do what you want to anyway, 'cause I've been in y'all's area already. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. My name's Don Howell. I'm associate broker with At Home Texas Real Estate here in town. This is the first I've heard of it, but I don't live along the lake either. I know several of you folks, commissioners and whatnot. My question is in regards to the 5,000 foot. Is this new or has this been since 91? That's my main
Well,
question.
actually, the state passed the law in 84, 86, 87, okay.
87.
Yeah, the law, same time the state gave Hunt County, well, gave Tawakoni and Ray Roberts Lakes the
Sure.
ability to zone because they were being developed in a haphazard way.
Gotcha. And I understand zoning. I just wasn't familiar with the lake being used as that, in that such, because I do have several clients around that lake.
Right.
And generally, if they would have heard something like this, they would have hollered at me, and said, hey, do you know anything about this? And this is the first I've heard of it. So today was, and thank you, Peanut, for pinging me to come in today, because I got some reading to do apparently. So thank you and all. I'm really curious about the 5,000 foot though. And Gary, I don't-
What are you curious about that? I mean, the
well, I'm
state
just
said
trying
it.
to understand it because
Yeah.
this is the first I've heard of it though, and my clients haven't said anything about it. And
Yeah.
I'm familiar with zoning, and I'm
Right.
okay with it. Generally, I'm used to it being in the city and not around the lake. I've got a lot of agricultural folks. I do a lot of farm and ranch, so a lot of them are going to have concerns, especially with that last slide in regards to the decibels, the sound, which I get. You know, in some places, yes, it's a problem.
It's-
In other places, it's not. But you know, shooting ranges in on their land within that 5,000 foot, but they're on agricultural land with hundreds of acres. So, but still, those were some questions I know I'm going to get raised.
Sure, thank you.
I think one of the important things that Daniel briefed to us is that the things that were being zoned were things that were overlooked and didn't get zoning originally. Everything else is staying the same as it is. Like Mr. Middleton's property, he's absolutely correct. You can look at that property and go, wow, does that make sense?
Yes.
But the reality is his property's been zoned that way for 40 years.
Yes.
Just there was not this conversation hadn't taken place where somebody could see what that property has been zoned. So his isn't changing. Now he's just going, why the heck is it that way?
Well, I think the other thing too, and just to inject on him a little bit, I try to look at my clients is now they're being forced for some rules and regulations that they weren't familiar with.
Right.
I think that's going to be a sticking point for a lot of them.
Yep.
My name is Diana
You can
Turner.
pull that mic down if you need to. There
My
you go.
name is Diana Turner. We live on a piece of property that's in Section 3, and I need to correct something that was said incorrectly. That property has been used for agriculture. It's along 276. There's 30 acres, and he said that they had zoned it according to what is being used. They've zoned it now to heavy industrial. That's a big difference. The people that are in these unzoned areas should have been contacted where they had no zoning to see what the purpose of that was. Now, I understand that the area may grow, they may widen the road, and that would affect us. We're aware of that. But for them to take an area that has been agricultural for many, many, many years, because my husband was born on that property, seems wrong for them to suddenly zone it heavy industrial. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jackie Goldman. I'm Mayor of the City of Quinlan. I am the chairman of Lake Tawakoni Planning and Zoning. And I just wanted to say that there was lots of confusion, without a doubt. These meetings did last or start 2 years ago, and I was been at all those meetings for over 2 years. And there were information given out about those meetings, but a lot of people just didn't come because they didn't really realize what's happening. But I do want to say one thing about the meeting we had a couple of Thursdays ago where we had about 350 to 400 people attend. We had lots of people with lack of information. And I do believe after the meeting, most of those people were satisfied with understanding that if you're already there, it's not going to really affect you because you're grandfathered in. And evidence of that is there's not 350 people here today. So I believe that we did solve a lot of the problems the other night. But yes, I'm sure you're still going to get people calling you and asking you questions in the future. But hopefully the other night the meeting went off well enough to solve some of our problems.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Kent Turner. I'm a lifelong Hunt County resident, third generation, I think, and I live on the same property that all three generations on. The zoning, what gets me is it seems like, and I don't like to hold up the tax appraisal district as a great example, but I'm telling you, there's one thing about them. When they're going to do something to your property, change something, the taxes, they tell you at least twice a year, well in advance, and they send it directly to your house and tell you what's up and what your proposed value is on. I think I'm surprised that they didn't contact individual landowners, because I have a fairly large tract along 276. And I did go to the open house meeting, and yes, there was inputs, but I never felt like they were really listening. It was presented as, this is what we're going to do, what we're planning to do. And yes, it'll have to go through approval, but I went to both meetings. I went to the one in the school the other day where 350. The reason you know I have 350 people here today is because most of them are at work, okay? So I think some more public hearings at least needs to happen. I know planning, the zoning is going to happen, but I think you need some more input. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Milton Robbins. I live at 9980 Private Road 3813 on the lake. I also have a business at 156 Conti Drive, also within this zoning. Now, we do need regulation, we need planning, we need zoning. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds to me like we're nitpicking. This is a rural county. The lights, the sound, the this, the that. My business is a metal building. It's 80 by 200. It's right on 276. We manufacture metal products. It makes noise. There's nobody living around me. Oh, it's grandfathered in. But what am I going to have? Somebody coming by later tell me, oh, we don't like your lights, your security lights. They need to be this. Wait a minute. We don't like your sign. It doesn't fit our agenda. Is that what I'm going to have? Yeah, I'm grandfathered in. I'm built there, and I'm going to be there. What am I going to have? A commission coming by? Somebody telling me something different? And another question. Who decides who's on this commission? I had experience with this similar situation, an earlier iteration of this commission. I tried to get a 911 address. Carol Fisk. She sent me to a guy in Greenville by the name of Brian Toole, who sent me to a guy by the name of John Adele, who put me on the agenda to go before this Lake Tawakoni Planning and Zoning Commission to get approval to get a 911 address. Well, I was turned down. They said I needed to go get an attorney. I need to go to the Sabine River Authority, all kinds of stuff. Well, about, I guess, 8 months or so later, I was able to get my 911 addresses without this zoning stuff. That's way beyond the bounds of what the zoning commission has to do with. What we have is people that are in a position to be on that commission that are going beyond the bounds of what their authority is. That's what happened to me. Now, how do we maintain the integrity of who's on this commission? If they're, let's say, yeah, I've got a piece of property, I want to develop it. Oh, it's not zoned properly. So I sell it to Joe Blow and his big money lawyers, and they come in before this commission, and all of a sudden, well, it's rezoned, and now they can do what they want to with their property. Who's benefiting by this? I've got some experience with the prior iteration of this Planning and Zoning Commission, and some of the same faces that I had to deal with that told me, no, you can't get an address. They're on this new Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't appreciate that. And like I said, and you guys have said, this is a rural community. We don't need to be nitpicked to death with all these rules and regulations. Yeah, we need zoning. We need planning. It's a civilization we live in, but don't we think this is not North Dallas? That's what I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, got any more questions or discussion, or? I take it we want to table it, or?
I think we need
I
to
think
table
that
it. One, I think the commissioners need to be smarter in understanding what that is, so that we can also in turn figure out a good approach to make sure that the public is better informed, and that even especially those that are not affected, that feel like they are affected, we need to make sure we get a better communications plan to them. That's my opinion. I won't speak for the court.
Everybody all right with tabling it for a while? All right. So we'll table it and we'll reconvene a committee, or I guess since you two commissioners are in that, cover that precinct, y'all want to work on a plan with Daniel to try to re-notify some people and
Absolutely.
try to figure out what our next step is?
I knew
Yep,
Commissioner
all right.
Monroe said he wanted to take the lead on that, so I support him.
You support him?
I get volunteered on it.
We certainly will work together to.
All right, so we'll move on, and thank y'all for coming and giving your input, and we appreciate it, and we'll see if we can't make this work better. All right. Commissioners, let's go back to action item number 1, approval of the annual auditor's examination letter to the Texas Commission on Jail Standards per Local Government Code Chapter 351.0415D. Mary, you got any comments? All right, Commissioners, entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 2, resolution of the Hunt County Commissioners Court appointing directors to the board of the Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District, NETEX, pursuant to Texas Transportation Code, Chapter 172. Commissioners, we discovered that I think we're supposed to appoint them every 2 years, and we haven't done that in a while. And currently, we've got Greg Sims and Hutchins appointed, and we need, my recommendation is that we reappoint Greg, and I would like to serve on that board. I'd like to be appointed as the other, if y'all have no concerns about that.
More power to you.
No issues for me.
All right. I entertain a motion to approve Greg Sims and Bobby Stovall to the to the board of the Northeast Texas Rural Rail Transportation District.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 2, to nominate candidates for the Board of Directors of the Hunt County Appraisal District. Commissioners, there was only two that were nominated from any of the entities. The appraisal district's nominated by all of the taxing entities in the county. And the two that currently are serving, all of them voted to reappoint, or voted to put them on the ballot, so we're to vote for those. Jessica, who are the two? Is it hired Paul Painter and
Jim Bob.
Jim Bob Grove, yeah. So I'd entertain a motion to approve Jim Bob Grove and Paul Painter to be appointed to the Hunt County Appraisal District.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 4, discuss and possibly take action to appoint 5 members of the Hunt County Evaluation Committee for RFP number 286-26, Hunt County Request for Proposal Construction Services for I-30 Administration Facility. The Evaluation Committee will be responsible for reviewing, scoring, and making a recommendation to the Commissioners Court regarding proposals received under RFP number 286-26. Commissioners?
Yes, sir. We have looked at the folks, and so we have recommendations for a 5-person panel that would give us five votes to make sure we get squared away with advisors associated with that. And so myself and Commissioner Monroe, certainly Commissioner Monroe with construction background, he's dealing directly with the facilities organization now fits. My background was on the procurement side. Would serve on that committee. Terry Fowler, also down in the poetry area, has construction background and history. He's an independent. He's not on the board, does
He's
not
a
work
citizen.
for the county. He's a citizen
Yeah.
who would participate in that, as well as Jim Bob Grove just mentioned, who has significant construction experience in bid building. And so, and then Ms. Brittany Turner would also be serving with us, our treasurer, to help us look at all of the financial aspects and everything associated with that. Tammy Himes, our head of procurement, she would be the recipient of the product, but she'll also guide the process from a compliance standpoint to ensure that we do everything per the state law to award that. And then, of course, our architect for the project, they are not allowed to be a voting member, but they will be a consultant associated with the team to answer questions about the RFP, about the original architectural design that may come from that.
Make sure the bids are complete to do the project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So those would be the recommended people to be on the team.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 5, a letter in regard to the Texas Department of Transportation fiscal year 25 assistant allotment for Hunt County. Commissioner, I think y'all got your allotment of how much money, y'all divided equally, I believe.
Once you get the letter back stating that we've been assigned this, then we will work together on where to get it from and the materials and all that.
Okay, I think we sent you the only letter I've gotten.
Yeah, but you'll send your letter back into the state accepting that, and once you do, then they'll give us the go-ahead.
Go and let
They'll
us-
reply back and
Okay.
give you a go-ahead.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 6, widening only County Road 1088 for a width of 6 feet from rock to oil sand, approximately 295 feet in length, precinct 1. Money is in escrow.
925 feet.
925 feet, sorry. Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 7, upgrade approximately 2,000 feet of County Road 1101 from dirt to rock at county's expense. Entertain a motion for approval.
I got a question.
Okay.
Why are we upgrading a dirt road at county's expense right now?
This road was done before I came into office. I'm trying to get the record, the road record Current.
Before you come in, you said?
Yes, sir.
How long ago has it been since this road was done?
That particular one, I'd have to look. I do know there's more coming. We're doing a road,
That was done before you
Audit.
come into office?
yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you can get us a kind of a timeline, close guess, or?
That one's done. It was done last summer sometime, but I don't know exact date.
Oh, wow, okay.
It means all your road records and stuff that we file with the state and with Brittany's not correct then,
That's
I'm
correct.
assuming.
That's what I've been working on is a road audit.
Wow, okay.
Ben's, it's already done, I'll second it.
I'm not sure what we do. All right. Got a motion, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 8, the request for permission to construct and place one fiber optic service in a county road on Irma where no utility easement is present under normal stipulations, precinct 2. This is AT&T. Commissioners, we've had a speaker today talk about the AT&T and under normal stipulations. Frankly, y'all will deal with those. I haven't looked at them in a long time. Are there any of the concerns this gentleman had?
Well, I can't speak for David. I know he's talked to me about this, but I can tell you water companies and AT&Ts that are putting in the fiber lines, it's kind of like what we were talking about with the zoning. It's a wild, wild west.
Do we not tell them in there they have to contact the owners?
Well,
Property?
it's sometimes that, it's sometimes not even contacting us to get permission to come through. I had a road Friday, they got dug up by a water company that we know nothing about, and they just left a trench in the middle of the road. So that's why I was talking to Daniel about getting us some letters so we can send out to these people, AT&T or whoever it is, about what their process is supposed to be, working in our right-of-way or if they're working outside the right-of-way. But a lot of times AT&T and sometimes even the water companies, they're going out and getting a sub to do it, and they're just going to do the job. They're not providing them with any permits or anything like that on what they're supposed to be doing.
Kind of like those fiber companies that just
Right.
went crazy.
Yep.
Judge, on these, there's all of these that are on mine today, number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Uh-huh.
I have a problem with approving any of them because these guys have been over there just going everywhere, and I've had several calls, just like this gentleman. They're up 30, 40 foot up into their property. They're not even in the right of way. I know that's probably a civil matter, but I don't know how we can approve it. And
Well, we can maybe slow it down by not approving it, and then maybe get Daniel or Aaron, can y'all send a letter to AT&T or does it need to come out of our office, or what's the appropriate way to do that?
Yeah, we certainly can. There was some sort of letter from them. Was it AT&T saying that they didn't need it? I sent it to you. Okay. Take a look at that.
yeah, for some reason they didn't think they needed a permit till the sheriff showed up, and all of a sudden they needed one.
Requesting approval.
David, do you know, has any of this work already been done?
Yeah, there's a lot of, that's what I'm saying, and I've had a lot of citizens contact me about these people are working in their yard. The sheriff has been out there and told them, you gotta stop doing work, because,
I don't
so
think-
that's why I have a problem. I would like to see the as-built of what, the work that's already, that they've got in the ground.
Yep.
Because we don't know what's there, what all's been done.
Yep.
And this gentleman here is not the only, fortunately, he came to court, but the other people probably working and off, but I've had several people contact me.
Well, Aaron, can we, rather than we start doing the battle of letters, I mean, certainly the letter, needs to go to have the initial contact, but can part of that letter be, you need to come in and see us and explain to us what you're doing, rather than letting this banter back and forth, no offense, between attorneys' letters here for the next 3 months?
Surely they've got a field supervisor or representative or something out here that has to oversee it or approve the construction. If they're having contractors, you'd think they'd have somebody go in and make sure it got installed right before they pay them.
The electric companies have done good so far for the most part, but it's generally, again, these fiber companies, telephone companies, or the water companies is the ones that we really need to address.
We need to relook at those stipulations and make sure. Maybe we need to put them in on every approval that we have, just to, do we send them a formal approval at the commissioner's office? Do you contact them and say they've been approved?
No, generally they either watch court or get the court minutes, and if they do contact me, then I'll send them the court minutes showing where they've been approved.
Okay.
One thing we need to check into also, Aaron, if you could for us, is what are the repercussions of, I mean, because a lot of times even the ones that do have permission to work in our right of way, whether they're running these boxes on the front side of the ditch, or they're just laying the cable in the road, or what, they're not putting them on the back side of the ditch 2 foot under the ground like it's supposed to be, or even deeper than that. But what authority do we have if they're not doing it correctly, if we can see it while they're actually doing it, or if they've installed it and it's not done correctly?
Yeah.
Our authority this summer was largely with mowers.
Well, I get a lot of bills, wanting us to pay for them, and we've got cable laying on top of the ground on
Yep.
Johnson grass is 3 foot high. I mean,
Yep.
we
Or a
don't
cutoff
know that.
valve right next to the edge of the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
All right, so
I would like a table or whatever we need to do on number.
Can we do all of them at once? All right, so I'd entertain commissioners, do we want to deny them, or we want to, how do we want to do it? Y'all want to table it, or you want to deny them, or they can always reapprove if we deny? That'd be
I'd say
stronger
we deny
probably
it.
than,
Do they bring
Send
in
a
what's
message
been there?
Yeah, I agree. Probably deny it, send them a message, and to make them give David the information he needs.
all right, so I'd entertain a motion to deny action items 8 through 18.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming forward. We wouldn't know. I mean, I didn't know. They don't contact us, and we'll try to get better at making them do it, so.
I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Action item number 19, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities that will cross 3204 under normal stipulations, precinct 3. That's Farmers Electric Co-op.
Yes, sir. Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 20, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities that will cross County Road 4209 under normal stipulations in Precinct 4, Farmers Electric.
Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 22, a variance request for substandard road frontage to divide a property between current owners on County Road 1048 in Precinct 1.
Okay, this is actually a piece of property that some developers bought and brought a preliminary plat to y'all, and construction plans, everything was approved. Their construction plans were approved, and for whatever reason, they've decided that they don't want to go through with the development. I have a feeling it's probably something to do with cost on a pretty long concrete road. So they're wanting to abandon the project and divide the tract that they purchased as development. They're wanting to divide it into 3 pretty much equal parcels to divide between the 3 primary owners of the property. You've got a map there showing the parcel that they're wanting to divide, and that blue strip across it is floodplain. So right across the front of the property, to get into the majority of the property, you've got to cross floodplain. That one lot on the very north end, it doesn't have any road frontage that's not in the floodplain except for maybe 20 feet.
It's not big enough to build a house on.
You're not building a house on it, and you've got 900 feet of floodplain that you're gonna have to cross to get to your usable property. Well, crossing floodplain is not that big a deal, right? Until you realize that your driveway is now a dam, and you've officially dammed up the floodplain. So to do anything in a floodplain, you've got to have engineered, you've got to have plans, you've got to have FEMA approval, you've got to have a whole bunch of stuff. Just like with Lake Tawakoni zoning, a lot of people don't realize, they don't do their homework, and they're not informed that there may be floodplain there. And you certainly can't put that responsibility on developers to divulge any kind of information like that. They should, but they don't, not always. Ultimately, the variance that they're requesting to do the 3 lots, all these lots are between 35 and 40 feet shy of having the frontage that they need. A couple of them are okay, they're usable, but that one on the north end is not usable without a whole bunch of money spent, unless they're just going to use it for recreation. If the variance was not granted and they could divide the property into 2, they wouldn't have to have a variance. They would have enough frontage to divide it into 2 tracts. Or as developers do sometimes, and they don't go through with projects, they could potentially sell the entire piece and they'd have to just divvy the money up between them. So I don't have as much of an issue with the frontage as I do with that one tract that has no access on the front. I think that could be a potentially bad situation for someone to spend a whole bunch of money on and then not be able to do anything with. But I don't have a vote. It's up to y'all. I just bring you the variance request.
So they've got it's a 40-foot variance basically that they're asking for?
Three 40-foot variances.
My problem with it, Gary, is if we do that, and like Brian said, that one lot that doesn't have a buildable lot on it, we'll be fighting with whoever buys that and wants to build a house, because they're gonna have to cross that floodplain, so they're gonna have to go get FEMA approval, they're going to get our approvals, and they're gonna have to get on the back of it and get out of that so they can put a septic system in, because they can't put a septic line that goes into the floodplain. And
it's a long.
And really, if you do 3 and they all decide to go across it, then they're all 3 are going to fight it. So if they have to do it 2, at least we only got 2 fights. And I don't think this variance makes sense to me. It's got it creates too many problems. If there's no floodplain there, I probably wouldn't have had an issue with it. But it's. With not a buildable space left on that one lot.
At some point, one consumer is gonna get
Yeah,
a very unhappy ending.
yes, very expensive, unhappy.
Very expensive, unhappy
Yeah.
ending.
So I think in the best interest of the public, we deny it.
Well, you said developer, that was the first thing I heard. And then the floodplain, and then obviously what they're trying to do to get out of it. Like the judge said and all that, I don't think this is a very smart variance to approve. I'm not for it.
I don't like
But it's
it.
Commissioner Money's precinct.
I'm out on it. I mean, but we just gotta make a motion. I make a motion, we vote on it.
All right, what's your motion?
Make a motion that we,
Deny the
vote on the
request?
variance, or deny the request.
There you go.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 23, the final plat of Rangel Reyes Estates. Something.
Rangel Reyes.
Reyes.
There again, I probably butchered that one. Pretty simple little plat, meets all of our subdivision regulations, and actually, number 6, the widening of County Road 1088, was the corresponding road improvement that's required for this subdivision. So they cleared out the right-of-way, moved the ditch, paid for the road to be widened out 6 feet, because I passed a school bus on it, and man, I'm glad I drive a Toyota four-wheel drive, because it was narrow. I was in the ditch to pass that school bus. So this is actually a really, really beneficial subdivision of that little area, getting a little bit extra width on that road.
All right. Entertain a motion for approval.
So motion.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Aaron,
Thank you, guys.
we got anything we can,
Under number 1.
all right. So, we'll go into executive session at this time under 551.071, 1 and 2 for, item 2 in the agenda. Is that correct? Did I say all that right?
Yeah, 1 and 2.
Okay. Yeah, I said that, but it's 1 and 2 of the code, and then it's action 1. Yeah, okay. And it is currently 11:37, so we're in executive session at 11:37. see if we can get back online.
Yeah, me too.
All right, it's 12:13. We're back in regular session. Is there anything else before the court today? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 12:13.